It's really an honor to be here again. Also from my side, a very warm welcome to this 8th Additive Manufacturing Forum. And Daniel already said it, if he's thinking back 8 years ago, it was a different world in additive manufacturing. We had a lot of plans, we had a lot of growth projections. Back then, we hadn't been out there yet with any kind of report. We published our first report in 2019 when there was already a little bit of a slowdown in terms of growth rates. And I'm here today to give you a first glimpse of the data that we saw from last year's report. So the 2024 report is going to be out today or tomorrow, somewhere around that time. But let me dive a little bit into some of the numbers that we found doing the research for this year's report. I'm thinking also again back a few years. We founded Ampower about 7 years ago. And it was a time where we still didn't really know where additive was going. We came from an industrial background, also from a university background somehow. And it was a time where we used the machines day to day, working with machines that were still somewhat in the progress of becoming industrial machines, not really there yet. But I had to make a decision if I wanted to move into additive manufacturing or keep staying in this industry. Together with 2 colleagues, found this company, building up something in this industry, and I wasn't still sure yet. But I had a conversation with a good friend of mine about 7 years ago. He spent about 3 years qualifying additive manufacturing for a production environment for medical device manufacturers. And still back then, the machines were premature, and it was a pain to really qualify that. It took 3, 4, 5 years sometimes to bring those machines on the shop floor. That changed today, of course, but back then it was still difficult. But he said something that convinced me that additive manufacturing is there to stay. And he said that in the medical device sector, companies who went through this pain process of qualifying production, setting up machines on the shop floor, they realize they have an enormous added value from this technology. And this added value is that they can produce better products at lower cost and faster time to market, shorter time to market. So there was a huge added value once you went through this process initially of qualifying the technology. And this convinced me that this technology is there to stay, because there's not only the medical device industry, there are many, many other industries. Is that coming? No? Yes? Doesn't want to. Can you manually maybe get the next slide? There's not only the medical device industry, there's also many other industries that today capture additive manufacturing. Let's try again. You still don't see the next slide, right? I'm trying here. Well, let's keep it then on the just on the descriptive part. So today we see additive manufacturing in basically every high-value manufacturing industry. There you go. So there's automotive, we all know. There's aviation, defense, space. Defense and space had massive growth last year. They grew by over 20% last year. Medical is already a very strong player. We even segment medical into dental and medical device and other medical devices because it's such a huge industry. The industrial industry keeps growing. I mean, industrial, okay, what is that? All kinds of application in machine building or automation, etc. But also the part manufacturing suppliers and academia industries. But the ones that are most growing right now are, like I said, civil aviation, defense, space, and medical. Overall, we sell about 2.7 billion euros worth of industrial machine equipment in metal and polymer right now into the market. That's a growth of around 8%. The whole market grew for about 10% last year, which is much less than many have anticipated in the past. So 2023 was a difficult year, and the question is, for many, what happened and where are we today? Let's look back again 7 years ago. We had a situation where we had 2 regions dominating the additive manufacturing market. There was Europe with companies in Germany, in Sweden, in UK, in Italy, and we had the US region, which traditionally did a little bit more on the polymer side, whereas the European side had a stronger metal 3D printing arm. And those regions, those companies that were established in those regions who invented the technology basically and pushed it forward, shipped across the ocean, shipped everywhere into the world. But we all know that this situation is changing, and we are in a different situation now. We have a third player on the map, and that's the Asia-Pacific region, and especially China. Today, the machines that Chinese manufacturers are producing are equal in terms of quality, of service, of lead time, and sometimes competitive in terms of pricing. So we have a complete new situation today where players in other regions are accelerating actually the market because the global market grew, but not necessarily the market in each region. Players in Europe had almost zero growth last year. Players in the US had a little bit more growth. Companies in especially China had the strongest growth last year. And they have the strongest growth projections for the next couple of years. Why is that? It's not only because those companies have a very strong domestic market. Clearly, China is a gigantic market by itself. But China is also very successfully addressing markets that were close to European or US-based companies, sometimes due to cost, sometimes due to other reasons. So it's not only the European market they're addressing, but it's also the Indian market. It's the MENA region around Saudi Arabia, etc. It's the East European countries. It's Turkey. It's countries that haven't been very active in additive manufacturing 5, 6, 7 years ago. But they are now picking up speed, purchasing machines at a competitive pricing point, generating applications that we all know already. So in total, it's a good thing for the market. Additive manufacturing is growing. Just the big question is, how can we all participate in that growth and how can we all get a bite of this cake? Because right now, the companies in Europe, especially in Europe, but also the ones in the US, are under quite some pressure. Now, we're not the first ones who bring that up. That's a topic that's been around in the past 1-2 years. So it's just very evident now also in terms of numbers. It wasn't that evident before. So we spent a lot of time last year with B2B customer projects, with machine OEM, with material OEM, etc., discussing this question of what can we do better? What makes a company decide to purchase a certain machine equipment? So we asked this question to hundreds of users, hundreds of companies who utilize additive manufacturing in large machine quantities, in lower machine parks, etc. And we asked them, what is your top priority? What is your decision factor for purchasing either machine A or machine B, or material A or B, etc.? Is it quality? Is it sustainability? Is this pricing? Is it lead time? Is it footprint? What is really important? And the question, all of those things pop up as answers. But the most important thing that always comes up for a company who wants to industrialize additive manufacturing is service. Service, uptime, reliability. Because you see, again, if you look at the industries that are adopting additive manufacturing that have strongest growth, they have products they want to bring into the market. They have a roadmap of products they want to bring into the market, which means they need machines they can rely on. They need machines that have a guaranteed uptime of 90, 95% a year. And we are not there yet with additive manufacturing, to be honest. So this is the major pain point we need to solve. And this brings me back to the question on how we in Europe, here in Berlin and in Europe, because I assume most of you are coming from this region, how can we participate in this continuous double-digit growth of additive manufacturing? And I think there's 3 major things that we can do to increase our position again and strengthen our position in the market. Because you can always go to politics. You can try to gain support from politicians, but it's something that you don't really have in your own hands. It's something you can bet on, but let's face it, additive manufacturing is a small industry by itself. I think the global additive manufacturing market is as big as the coffee market just in Germany. So it's just a small chunk. So politicians are probably not as strongly committed as they should be, in my opinion. But what can we do as an industry, as companies? We can first of all focus on what we can do best, and that's building the best equipment, building the best machines and the best process chain that is reliable and has a certain uptime every year. We are traditionally very good machine builders, so we should refocus on that strength that we have in those countries and in this region. Second of all, we should have best-in-class service, because that's the major pain point of the industry right now. If you can deliver the best service, you can be sure that you are under the top companies, under the top candidates for companies that they consider purchasing machines from. And third of all, we need to empower the next generation, because if you start focusing on reliable machines, usually you don't focus on R&D anymore. So you might miss the next train that goes in additive manufacturing. And we see technologies not only in Europe, not only in the US and Israel, but we see new technologies coming up that promise higher speed, higher productivity, lower pricing. So certainly we need to focus on industrializing additive manufacturing and bringing it to a production level, but we also need to keep track of the technologies that will bring the next generation. I'm very pleased that some of those companies are here today or tomorrow with someone from the US. I think 2 companies from the US are here around this time who have very promising new machine concepts for powder bed fusion technology to accelerate it to the next level. And we cannot miss that. So we need to find a way to also support the next generation. But at the same time, the main focus should be bring out machines and equipment and a process chain that is ready for production. This market is growing. There's many, many applications in the pipeline at the leading users, and we need to make sure that we get a bite from this cake, that we don't lose this opportunity. Thank you very much.